And then you're live.
Hey,
What's up, everybody? I gotta make sure this
This is
volume.
my first YouTube live.
Well, all right then.
Yeah, I've done a few other ones, but not a YouTube.
So this is a delay, so
Okay.
don't worry about this. Todd Jones said can't wait any longer. We started on time.
Pretty close.
All right.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing? I'm here at the Jack CARR lair, and we're just slamming Black Rifle coffee and Killcliff.
Oh yeah.
Man, when they first came out, they sent me some, and
The Killcliff or the Black Rifle?
the Killcliff. Well, both, but the Killcliff, the white can with the orange writing, the OG original,
Yeah.
and it was like an orange.
Yeah.
I love them, but citric acids give me heartburn.
Oh man. Okay.
It's like I like fresh squeezed lemonade. It's
Yeah.
like fire.
Gotcha. Oh
It's like,
man.
it's like fire.
Yeah, there's the new CBD thing. So both
So
that.
has it got weed in it? What is
I
that?
don't know. I do not know. Like if it didn't say CBD on it, I'd still be drinking it. It just happens to have it. But yeah, I don't know. It's good. But you're right. Here's some sort of acid in it. 80%. Yeah, you don't want any of that actually.
Yeah, citric acids. So I've got some questions I got from you guys, and so some of your questions I got multiple times, so I combined them or condensed them or something like that. Don't feel ill about that. That top button up there, right there, it says 146. That's how many people are watching it right
Oh,
now.
wow. Very cool.
And then that's how many people are liking it. It doesn't give you any of the thumbs down rating up here for whatever reason.
Oh, nice. They don't want you to feel bad as you're going. I get it. I understand that psychologically.
Okay, so for you guys that don't know, he is he's an author, and let's grab these books. So he's got that book, and this book, and that book. So this is number 1, number 2, and number 3. And you guys, most of you guys, especially my subscribers, you're familiar with these books, and so if you don't mind, why, why leave the SEALs behind and take up this career of writing?
Yeah. So only 2 things I ever wanted to do with my life were 1, serve my country specifically as a SEAL, and the second thing I wanted to do was write fiction in this genre, because growing up in the 80s, there was not that much nonfiction out there about special operations.
Right.
There's a couple things here and there, but not much. But a lot of what I learned about the military, or learned about CIA operatives, they all came from the protagonists from fictional thrillers by guys like Tom Clancy, Nelson DeMille, and David Morrell, A.J. Quinnell, J.C. Pollock, the same people that are still on my shelves back there today. So as I was growing up, I was reading these things, and those protagonists had backgrounds that I wanted to have one day. And then I also knew that I was having such a good experience reading these novels that I also wanted to do.
We don't have the mics right here. We got the mic
Oh,
right
got
there.
the mic right there.
He's a SEAL, and he's very soft.
I'm still new to all this stuff.
We got to talk to that.
All right, I'll talk to that. So that I knew that military had to come first. So almost everything I did growing up was geared towards becoming an operator, getting to buds. So all the, whether it was running cross country or playing soccer or playing lacrosse, or just at my house sprinting our hill and doing pull-ups on the basketball hoop and putting a rope in the tree and rappelling down or climbing because I'd seen it in a video somewhere.
Yeah,
like all that stuff was geared towards getting me into the military.
And even though back then, because of the lack of information, you didn't know what you should have been doing.
No, you had no idea. I mean, I'm like, okay, I see this video, and
gotta
I
breathe
see
hard,
some people
they're gonna
running.
sweat.
Yeah, I see some people. I see them swimming. I see them running in the sand. I see this obstacle course. Okay, how can I do that here? Okay, I can swim every now and again. I can run all the time, and I can do some pull-ups and rope climbs. Like, okay, so I'll just do that. Now you can get online and probably research.
You see it working out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't even know how. You could not possibly even wade through all of them to decide which one to do. You'd just be overwhelmed. You'd spend the rest of your life just deciding which one to do. But back then, you just kind of had to figure it out. Today, I'm sure there's something out there that says what happens each and every almost hour of Hell Week. I bet it's out there. I haven't looked, but I would suspect that it's out there. And I don't know if that's better or worse, because I didn't even know. I just knew it was going to be hard. I was going to be up for a week. And get yelled at, or be cold. Like, that's all I knew. But now if you're expecting something to happen and it doesn't, or they switch it up on you, I don't know what that would do psychologically, if that makes it harder or easier knowing. I don't know.
I don't think I'd want to know.
Yeah, I like the way that I went through. But that being said, I did try to learn as much as I possibly could about buds, about what would happen once I got to the teams. I knew that I needed to be the best operator I could. I needed to study the art of war. I needed to study what these guys did in Vietnam. What was the legacy of special operations, so that I could be the best operator I possibly could be once I got to the teams. I thought that was my responsibility just as a citizen. So that's why all these books are here, and I continue to study that today.
And I sent him. I don't even know what we were talking about or whatever, but a long time ago, I mailed him.
Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, I mailed him that while he was, at work.
Yeah, I was downrange and I had a little time. It was in the Philippines. I had a little time to train, and you sent me this along with a bunch of other great stuff out there. So I really got better. I got to shoot every day. We had unlimited ammo. I was working out like a madman because it wasn't like Iraq and Afghanistan where you're operating all the time.
Yeah.
In the Philippines, the mission is different, and you're advising a host nation force. And so I advised a Philippine Marine general who'd been fighting in the Southern Island chain for his entire life. So I became a student, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't really doing too much advising. But I learned a ton, and in between those times when we do major pushes, I think in that whole 6 months we might have done 2 major pushes against a couple of different insurgent groups down there. But the rest of the time, working out, reading, and shooting.
Yeah, and well, you said you became the student. I like that. I like being around somebody that knows something I want to know. And because I give the classes, I get tons of everybody, all kinds, every vocation you can imagine in class. And I've kind of boiled it down to this. When I talk to somebody, like one of the more interesting conversations I've had recently was with a young man that owns a tow truck company that tows big trucks, like big wrecks, And he's a young man. He's built this thing up from nothing. And all right, if you were going to tell me everything you could tell me about being a tow truck guy in 5 minutes, what would that be? And so I've had doctors distill their job down to 5 minutes, and I might even do 1 minute, because sometimes if people, when they really know a subject well, they just got this way of cutting through all the bullshit and just giving you like, this is what it's about. So anyway, so when you said that, I love being around those people where I can become the student for sure. So I'm going to read the questions here, and we're up to 252 folks watching right now. I'm going to read the questions, and we'll go from the live stuff. You can see when the stuff stops moving, they're listening to us.
Interesting.
And when they get bored, you'll see the.
Okay, that's crazy. So I'm learning too. I'm always learning. I'm always a student, just like you talked about.
I've been making fun of him. He knows tons about the Navy SEAL gizmos and gadgets, but this darn internet escapes him. So the newest book, I think it's on pre-sale.
Yep. The Devil's Hand.
I certainly wouldn't ask you to give up the book, but what could the people that have read the first 3, what can they expect? First off, it had to take to book 3 for.
I know you always bring that up. Yeah, it's like the 3rd date. You can't jump right in there.
All right, he's quite the gentleman, this Reese. So what broadly, what can we expect?
Yeah, well, each book has a theme, and the theme works on a few different levels for each book, depending on how you want to read it. Like if you want to just grab it off the shelf and jump on a plane and go to vacation and just read it, there's a superficial way to read it, and then there's a couple other layers in there, and that was done intentionally. But first one was really all about revenge without constraint. That was that unifying theme for the novel. Second one, about redemption, learning to live again, transitions, which everybody can really relate to because you all go through transitions in life. Third one, Savage Son, was all about the dark side of man and exploring that through the dynamic of hunter and hunted. So this fourth one is about a subject that I have wanted to explore and research for quite some time, and I have peripherally, but I never really got to dive into it in an academic sense. And that is about the legality, morality, and ethics behind targeted assassinations. And having the protagonist, James Reese, who's a former Navy SEAL sniper, who has, in the first novel, he thinks he's dying, so he gets to essentially become the insurgent that he's been fighting for the last, in that book, 16 years at war, and bring the war home to the front doors of people who have been sending young men and women downrange to their deaths for now close to 20 years. But I always wanted to really explore, hey, what gives our country the ability to target someone specifically, like Admiral Yamamoto in World War II, like Soleimani, which we did here in this last January of 2020, and what differentiates them from a political leader who we can't target, and what is that defining line between the assassination and killing someone in combat, that difference between murder and combat. So I wanted to really dive into that. So I looked at what Israel had done from the inception of that country up until today, because it's really, their entire country is based on targeted assassinations from their inception right after World War II up through today. And their Supreme Court over there has really given strict guidelines on how they can legally target these different, in their case, terrorist leaders or facilitators or whoever they want to go after. It has to fit certain criteria. Our Supreme Court has not really done that, but there are some findings, some laws, some precedent that allows us to do things like we did with Soleimani and deliberately and specifically target an individual and not have it be a quote unquote assassination. So I really wanted to dive into that, and that's what the next book explores.
So speaking of assassination, when Reese kills the guy in the first book, and he's coming down the hill, and there's like the flat spot. As I've been driving around
You're looking for it?
I'm driving around all these hills. I am like, and there's different things. And I'm sure these guys also have things that they have found or seen or thought, but like there are things that, like every time I'm going down a hill in the mountains, I'm looking for that flat spot. Stuff like that. Like
waiting for that.
Well, I mean, like you know, books have affected you that way in your life. Things have affected you that way, and so I believe I would be complimented as an author if people, like, every time they went down a mountain.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, it's not far from here. It's not far from here.
I've been looking for it. So anything else you'd like to say about the new book?
I don't know how much I want to give away.
No, I'm not asking for anything.
Because it's not just an academic study of that, but it's really what our enemies have been doing. What we've handed our enemy over the last.
What's the back cover
years.
going to say?
This right here, yeah. So what we've given our enemy over the last 20 years is essentially we've allowed them to watch us at war and take notes. And they've seen what worked against us in Iraq and Afghanistan, what didn't work. And so we've had Iran, we've had China, we've had Russia, we have North Korea watching for 20 years and taking those lessons. They weren't just passively watching us in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were taking those notes, they were taking those lessons and applying them to their battle plans. So that's really what this fourth one's all about, is them, one of those countries, taking those notes, seeing what's happened here over the last year with the riots that we've had in this country, with what COVID did to us, and they looked at all those things holistically and then decided it was now time to strike again. So
okay, all right, good.
The scary part is they've definitely been doing that.
Yeah, right. Oh, there's no. I mean, and shame on them if they haven't.
Exactly. And shame on us for not thinking that they have.
Yeah, right.
We've been giving them the playbook.
Exactly.
For 20 years.
So I hear there's going to be this TV show about the terminal list.
I hear that too.
Here's the thing. I've been like film for a couple of TV shows and movies and stuff like that. And as soon as you say something, everybody's like, "When's it coming out? When's it coming out? When's it coming out? When's it coming out?" So what I learned is if I ever do anything again, I'm not saying anything till it's coming on Thursday.
That's it. I get that question all the time. When is it coming out?
Yeah.
And haven't even started filming.
Yeah. That's my point.
First we got to film it.
Yeah.
But yeah, working on the scripts right now.
Well, how did it come into play? Like, I mean, because I'll tell you, we are all Chris Pratt fans.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, like I know he's hunted at least once, and I know I've seen a picture of him in an NRA shirt at least once, and so he's not completely polluted by Hollywood. So he's So I think we're all like, Oh
yeah, he's awesome. But yeah, when I was writing this thing, like he hadn't done Jurassic World, Jurassic Park stuff yet. He hadn't done Guardians of the Galaxy. He hadn't done Passengers, which was a little more serious. He'd only done Parks and Rec, and he had a small role as a SEAL in Zero Dark 30. But as I started writing this first novel, I thought, man, who's that person that in this generation that is ready to take that next step as an actor, that's also the right age, that also has the right mindset, that would like to do a project like this? And as I was typing away, I thought, Chris Pratt's that guy. And I thought of, like in the 80s, I thought of all the comedy that Tom Hanks did.
Yeah.
And then he takes a risk with Philadelphia in the early 90s, and then he can write his own ticket from then on else, choose his project.
Bosom buddies.
Yeah, exactly. That was fantastic. But he pushed it with Philadelphia, took that risk. And I thought, who's that guy that needs to do this? That's Chris Pratt. And I think I probably read an article, and I got a good sense from it. So anyway, that's about all the thought I gave it. Like, Chris Pratt would be amazing in this role. He's the one person that I'd want to turn, that I trust to turn this over to. And the director, Anton Fuqua. That's why. So I thought those two people. That's all I thought. I didn't consider anybody else. Then a few months before the first novel came out, I got a call from a buddy of mine who I hadn't talked to in about 5 years. And he calls me and first asks if I remember him. And I say, of course, Jared, how's it going? And he said, hey, I always wanted to call you and thank you for what you did for me in the SEAL teams. And I couldn't even remember what it was. I thought maybe I bailed him out of jail. I couldn't remember. And he said, you're the only person that sat me down in your office. You talked to me about transition as I was getting out, and you introduced me to some people in the private sector, and I never forgot it, and I always wanted to thank you. And I said, no problem. And he said, I heard you have a book coming out. I said, yeah, I got a book coming out in a few months. I have this galley copy, which is an early copy. I can send it to you. And he said, I'd like that, but I'd like to also give one to a friend of mine. And I said, who's that? And he said, Chris Pratt. I said, oh. funny you should mention that. Yeah. So he gave it to Chris. Chris read it, and then about a month later, he calls to option it. So yeah, so what happens as far as process wise, Chris options it, and I was kind of hoping that right away they'd announce it.
For people that don't understand the lingo, options means what?
He has the rights to now turn it into a movie or a series. So he has purchased those, and now he can go do his thing. And I kind of hoped that right away, because it was before the first book even came out, and I thought, oh wow, I'll get a big push. He's got these millions of followers. He'll say something about it. Nothing. And I think that's because they don't really want to say they're going to do a project until they are sure they're doing it. They don't want to get that reputation.
Hey, when's it coming out?
Exactly. So I was kind of like, oh man. So that didn't happen for the first book, nor did it happen for the second, nor did it happen for the third. It happened after that first week that the third book is out, which is the one that makes that they count for the New York Times list. So he mentioned it after that. So which now I like, because now no one can say, hey, you only made the New York Times list because
right.
Chris Pratt mentioned it. Well, nope, you mentioned it after
that
week, or you only made that list because Joe Rogan. Yeah, we're on Joe Rogan. Well, no, that happened after that first week. So I like how it happened now, but at the time I was like, man, I wish they just mentioned something about this. But what happens then is they decide what projects they want to do. They decided to do this, and then they shopped it around to Amazon, to Netflix, to HBO, to all those different streaming services, and I think there was some sort of bidding war, and
always like that. Always like the bidding war.
Yeah. So Amazon got it, and now we're working on the scripts, and they're awesome. They could not be. And there's always a danger of Hollywood. And as an author, you can't really. If it goes that path, that's just how it goes. Yeah. But as of right now, it's looking tough, and Chris wants to keep it authentic and real and raw, and we'll see. But we're on scripts, and supposed to start filming sometime in early 2021, and.
You know what I'm seeing, and I don't mean this in any negative way. I'm seeing a John McClane, diehard, tough, funny, like I'm kind of seeing something like that for him. From his previous roles and stuff, I'm seeing him kind of mash that together a little bit.
Yeah, and that was important to me as I was writing. I wanted a likable character, because if someone is going to invest this much time in reading, in my case, spend hours and hours reading this novel, and same thing with a movie, like, you have to like the character. You have to want to spend time with that person. So it was important to me that James Reese, my protagonist, that he is somebody that people want to sit down and have a beer with, want to have coffee with, but who also has the skills, has the experience, and that drive, that determination to get the job done. He can flip that switch and he can crush people.
But also human, not bulletproof, and likes a little honey in his coffee.
He likes honey cream in his coffee.
I'm just saying, like that,
exactly.
like those subtle things really humanize characters, and like how the I think it was a Marine on the ship made fun of him for it. Like that, like guys in a martial world, they get that, and I laughed, and so those little touches are, as you know, like that really concretes the character, like makes that a guy that I would like to meet, all those little things. So that
was important to me. And I like Chris as the guy. People like him. He can be tough. He's rolling, doing jiu-jitsu. He's going to train hard, get on the weapons, get on the blades. So we have some good guys coming in to train him up on that sort of thing. And he's one of those people that's going to just embrace it, because this is like an excuse, learn how to do all this stuff. It's going to be great.
Fantastic. What do you miss most about the SEALs or the Navy or military life? Or
people have a kind of a route answer to this one, and they always say, I miss the guys type thing. And for me, I decided that I was not going to miss anything because I was going to transition. And that was one part of my life that I was going to move forward from. I was going to build on. It's obviously a big part of who I am, but it was going to be a part of who I am going forward. I was going to live back there in those days. And I knew that transitions happen and you move on in life and you leave this part behind, but you take those things that can help you as you move forward. And so I don't really miss anything about it. It was a solid run. It was a solid 20-year run. I got to do the things that I wanted to do. Even before September 11th, we all thought we were going to get right in the fight, and there's all this secret stuff going on all around the world. And we showed up at our first SEAL teams, and they handed us a mop and a broom and said, paint that wall, change that light bulb, new guy, take the garbage out. So September 11th happened, and then we got to finally start doing all those things we thought we were going to do when we got to the SEAL team. So I got to do those things. I was very fortunate in that I ended up in some interesting places at the right times. And but then I aged out, and by rank, I kind of ranked out of it, of doing what I came in to do, which is lead guys on the battlefield and kicking those doors. And so I made the decision that, hey, it's time to get out now.
Well, in that respect, since I left police work, there's still guys I left police with that are still policing. And I think sometimes I miss it, and then I'll go have lunch with them, and they talk about it. Then I sit there and realize, nope.
Yeah, well, especially now. So now, when you see all these things in the news and you see SEALs in the news for all these things and these controversies and all that, I think, oh my gosh, what is it like to be that E5, sitting on the couch in the team room, waiting to get the word from the head shed coming down from a meeting, or getting ready to go on this next trip in preparation from deployment, and you're seeing all this stuff on Fox and on CNN, and and the head shed is talking about it, and they're talking about, hey, how do we curb this, whatever it is, whatever the problem is of the day. And that's where they're focused. I mean, has got to take up a lot of where they should be focused on training and being prepared for war, being prepared to go down range.
Yeah.
But instead, they're juggling all this other stuff out there, and that'd be tough.
Yeah.
That'd be tough at all different levels in the team. So I'm glad I'm not dealing with that. I'm glad I'm watching that from the outside. It's kind of on the periphery, and I'm move forward. I'm with my family and writing novels and in that next stage of life.
There's a walking trail out there. It freaked me out.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. That's just like, man, there's some people out in the woods, man.
That's right.
So you're gonna write this book. You've got all these materials, these thoughts, and these like, what percentage doesn't make it into the book?
Most everything makes it. Okay. Just because as
you saw from 1 to 4, there you don't get better at it. From there wasn't more trash left behind with 1 than 4?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. For 1, I think having that theme and writing it down and putting it next to my computer, I wrote revenge. And so everything had to tie back to that theme, either directly or indirectly. So, and I thought when I sent it off to New York, that, hey, they're going to make this thing amazing. They're the experts. Emily Bessler is my editor, and she was the editor for Vince Flynn, who did Term Limits and the Mitch Rapp series. She's Brad Thor's editor, and she's going to have all these changes. It came back with like 3 things. Like, would he say this here? Would he do this here? And a third one that I can't remember. And I was shocked that there was so little. And I think a lot of it is that, as you saw right behind these doors here, is my family, and it's semi-chaotic most of the time. So I don't
know if you guys can hear it, but there's some family noise out here, and I love it. Like, I'm not trying to cut you off, but like, I love having all 6 of my grandkids at the house and them running around and stuff. And my wife's like, "How can you stand it?" I'm like, it's this is why we do all this stuff. This is why you were SEAL for 20 years, and it's why I teach every day of the world. It seems like it is for that. So if you hear it,
that's it.
It's fine.
It's chaos out there. But that also means that when I have time to write and I get downstairs and my wife's taking the kids out to do something, like, that's my time. I can't waste it. And same thing, if I write a few chapters that end up on the cutting room floor, well, I wasted those hours. So when I get down to business, it's so far anyway.
Yeah.
Everything has pretty much made the book. There's been very few edits.
So we'll say 99%. We'll say that.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. Favorite movie?
Ooh, favorite movie. So I don't want to give up my favorite movie.
Okay.
Because I'm going to ask people sometime what you think my favorite movie is. So let's just say, what's my favorite 80s action film? How about that? We'll go with that one. And let's go with Lethal Weapon.
Okay.
I just love Lethal Weapon because there's certain movies out there you can point to that kind of that move the genre forward a bit, And that from that point on, like the cop buddy movie became like a thing. Like there might have been a few before, but really, like Lethal Weapon kind of moved that genre forward enough to make it a thing and have so many, just like Die Hard.
Yeah.
Like for years and years, it was like Die Hard on a battleship, Die Hard here, Die Hard there, Die Hard there. It's the same thing. People hunting someone, him hunting them back in a specific geographical location. So there's some certain movies like that you can point to that really change the genre, even if it's just by a degree. And so I love Lethal Weapon.
Well, if I were asked the same question, Lethal Weapon would be tough, and Die Hard's certainly up there. But if I had to pick something else, Cobra.
I love Cobra. I love that 1911. It's turning at the beginning.
It is just the epitome of 80s cheese.
It's so great. In the back of that, you got the red. Everybody's like, "Oh, laser! A red laser!" Oh man, it was awesome.
That 50 Mercury.
And he's in the back of the truck at the end. He's like, everything from the hip still. No one's aiming. It's so fantastic.
Oh man!
And he drops that match on the guy. Boom! Covered in gasoline at the end. You have the right to remain silent.
You might appreciate this. So I'm about to go to take 250 at Gunsight. And I'm taking a 1911. You're going, 250.
Yeah.
And I've got those grips on my gun.
No way. It's so great. So they didn't give you the holster. They had 1911s not even a holster back then. So they didn't care. That was fantastic. I remember I'd never seen a car like that either.
That's it's a 50 Mercury, and it was a chop top and a lead sled. And
what's a lead sled?
So it's when like the seams in the body, they would get lead and fill them all in, so the body looked like it didn't have any lines on it.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's a good one. I love like Uncommon Valor. I love that one. Of course, First Blood. Of course, Rainbow First Blood Part 2. So I love all those films.
Yeah.
Predator.
First Blood was the first movie I saw at the theater by myself. Without mom. Wow. Me and Buddy got dropped off.
Nice.
So that was the first one. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It's different than the book. So the book was written in 1972 by David Morrell, and it's quite different from the film.
The book, I read the book 20 years ago or something like that, but my wife was like, hey, it's the book. I'm like, we were about to take a road trip. We got the audio book. And she was like, oh, my God. This is violent.
It is. It is. It's one of those ones that, like you just talked about it for movies, but there's certain books you can point to that also move the genre forward, the thriller genre as a whole, like Most Dangerous Game back in 1923, I think. Rogue Male by Jeffrey Household back in 1939. First Blood in 1972. So there's these certain books you can point to that changed the genre, that moved it forward by degree. And so that's always my goal, is to move that genre forward, even if it's just by a tiny bit. But that's my goal each and every time.
Fantastic. That's great. That's great. Let's see. If you were dropped into an American urban setting, and I think what he's trying to say is during unrest, what 3 non-firearm items would you bring?
Non-firearm.
So Winkler Tomahawk.
Yeah, exactly. Still weapons. Yeah, grenade. A grenade, a Winkler Tomahawk, and a blade of some sort. Yeah, there it is. Boom.
I got the one that's like that.
Nice. Yep, that's it. So non-firearm related into an urban setting. Some way to communicate is comes to the forefront. A medical kit of some sort, and a vehicle to get out of there.
My students have heard me say this 1,000 times. Communication, the most critical aspect of any tactical operation, and the most fragile. First thing it breaks down. And I tell them, so whatever you're doing, it's communication. And I got it bad. Like with me, I've got three cell phones, a sat phone, a two-way GPS.
Nice. You got it. Yeah.
I'm just like, oh God.
Have you ever gotten into the ham radio thing?
Oh, I got ham radios out the ass.
That's one of the things so we were fairly well prepared when like COVID hit. You know, we have all this meat in the freezers. If the freezers go bad, we have dried food for a couple months. We have things we're comfortable with. We have a lot of weapons. We have a lot of ammo. We have to filter water. We have medical supplies, those sorts of things, fire extinguishers, all that sort of thing. But I did recognize a couple of things that I could do going forward a little better. Ham radio is one of those.
Okay. I can point you some directions.
Nice.
So we'll do that.
Nice.
So communication, some medical, and what was the third thing?
Vehicle to get out of there.
Yeah. For the sake of saying it, since you got dropped, let's say not a vehicle. What
if I can take a blade or a tomahawk, so I can get a vehicle.
Yeah. This guy says, I understand that James Roos was closely based on James Yeager, but
that a lot. I get that.
But how much Jack CARR is in there?
So the protagonist is a former Navy SEAL sniper, enlisted guy who becomes an officer at a certain point, and then is at that stage in his time in uniform when he's not going to be tactically leading guys downrange anymore, and it's time for him to take care of the family. And that's exactly where I was when I started writing this. I'd come back from Iraq, I'd taken that breath, I'd looked around, I realized that my family needed me, and I'm not going to be leading. If I stay in the teams, yeah, I'll make 05 and I'll be a commander of a SEAL team, but in today's day and age, you're not leading guys into battle as an 05. They make you think that they might make you think that if they're in an interview for something, but no, they're in the tactical operations center, and if they go out with the guys, they are just getting in the way because they haven't done that workup. They don't know the standard operating procedures. They've been out of it for too long. Right. So I recognized that it's time for me to get out, take care of the family, and so although James Reese is not me, I can tap into those feelings to make him a more realistic and believable character. But he's a much better shot, as you noticed, than I am. He's much stronger, he's much wittier, much better looking, all those sorts of things. So
don't feel bad. Mark Graney's Gray Man also based on
that's the first thing I thought of when I said that.
What is your favorite scene or chapter from any of the books? Like, let's just say Terminal List. Do you got like a one that you liked writing the most, or?
I liked how I ended it.
Okay. Okay.
I was out there in New York where the book finishes up, and I needed to figure out a way to make the reader want to find out what happens in the next book, but also give enough closure that they feel like that things were resolved in the first book. So
that's a tough balance.
So exactly. So I was out there in this beautiful spot overlooking the ocean, and I wrote that chapter because it takes place exactly where I was. So all the action had taken place exactly where I was, and I could walk it and do all those things, look at the flowers, look at the trees, look at the landscape, so I could figure out exactly how long it would take and what kind of environment he'd be moving through. But then after that, and to give that resolution in the way that I did that at the end, and I don't really want to say exactly what it is, but with that list and how he puts that to rest the same way that you would commit a body to the deep with Didas. So that one stands out.
Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. Very good. Did you ever work or live on an African preserve?
No, but I went to Africa a couple times, and one I went to the same place that you did when you went over there
with the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. So that was after though. But first, even before I had the deal for the first novel for the Terminal List, I always knew I was going to write two, because John Grisham, he wrote A Time to Kill first, and that did not sell. He could not give that thing away. So he stuck with it, and then he wrote a second book called The Firm. That one takes off, New York Times bestseller, Tom Cruise options it for the movie, then they go back and they've printed another edition of A Time to Kill, which I think is his best book. So I was always going to write two. So after I got out of the military, the first book was pretty much done, and I was starting that second one already, because I knew I was going to write two regardless, and I had not been to Mozambique, and I knew that he needed to go someplace to learn to live again. He needed a new mission, and I needed to take him on that hero's journey. And I thought, where can he go totally off the grid? And so Mozambique it was. So I went there and did a hunt out there, and the place that I describe in the novel is exactly where I was in Mozambique. The people that I described there as the professional hunters and the trackers, they're the real ones that I interacted with over there. So I got to take that local flavor and apply it to the novel. And then before it came out, I went back and I went to South Africa this time to help train up an anti-poaching unit over there that's focused on preserving and protecting the last rhino, some of the last rhino on Earth anyway. So it was really cool. I learned a ton from those guys. I feel bad because I learned so much more from them than they learned from me. I mean, it's just like some weapon safety essentially. They're getting Glocks and M4s, and they hadn't used those before, so I went over there and helped out a little bit with our friend. And but I got so much from them that I got to put in both that second novel as I was finishing up the edits, and then the third one as well, as far as just tracking and the psychology of tracking, and I got to weave all that in there. So I didn't live on a but I visited and tried to take as much as I could and weave that into the novels.
You could have done worse. And then what a great bunch of people over there.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And then I brought my family back. The next summer they invited me to come back, and so I brought my family back, and so the kids got to go.
Oh, nice.
It was so cool. Yeah.
Oh, Kalahari?
Yeah.
Yeah, what great people.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kids all went hunting over there, and it was incredible.
Yeah, good stuff. That's great. Yeah. It says somebody wrote this down. We all know that Tactical Response is the best training company. However,
Yes.
what training classes, etc., have been your favorite? I guess you're going to say maybe in the commercial world, maybe if it's something they might know.
Yeah. So even before I went in the military, I was still training myself up. So back, let's say early '90s, like there wasn't this internet. You couldn't just Google some training, M4 or a pistol. You couldn't just look people up.
Yeah, right.
You had to like find something on a flyer at a gun store or word of mouth or maybe in the yellow pages, but mostly that was like martial arts stuff in there, some boxing places.
Back before MMA.
Yeah, exactly. Back before MMA time frame, when you had like JKD was kind of like taking things from different martial arts and using them. And what's this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Let's grab that too and apply that. So I was very fortunate that a couple of Vietnam guys had set up a training school, and I started training with them.
Oh, great!
So that not only was it just how to safely and effectively use these different pistols and rifles and shotguns and those sort of things, I also, the most valuable part for me was learning how to think logically and think tactically from guys that had done it in Vietnam, and then a couple of them had done it as police officers when they got back from Vietnam, and then had started training schools to kind of supplement the rest of the life. So I really I was a sponge. So I took all that stuff and I wanted to learn those lessons because I knew that Vietnam was such a watershed moment in special operations history. And so I was just picking their brains constantly. They taught me how to pick locks. They taught me, we rented a car, learned how to drive, learned how to pit, like all that stuff before I even got into the SEAL teams. So the reason I preface this that way is because I was interested in this stuff. It wasn't just like I got to the SEAL teams and just got pushed in a certain direction and did it. I was actively researching that stuff, actively training before I went in. And
that's not really uncommon in the special operations world, though, is it?
I don't know if back then it is or not. I don't think people really had as much access for whatever reason. So when I talked to people that were my peers, most of them did not do that sort of thing. Most of them did the physical side of the house, but they had not heard of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in like 1993.
I guess my view of it's different because I meet mostly guys like you.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a SEAL, but the guys like you come and train. So
because they're seeking out.
You're
seeking out. You want to open your aperture. You want to learn and get better. And so for me, I was always, and that didn't stop when I got to the SEAL. It didn't stop once I got to the SEAL teams. I kept going out there and find people who were training. Like got Morgan Consulting. I remember I did. He was taught at gun sight.
Oh yeah.
I his name now. He's some shotgun stuff.
Yes.
And so I went and my wife, I got off work on Friday and we packed up the car and I drove her to Prescott, Arizona, and she went out there in the desert and set up a little chair while I did the shotgun course. Because in the SEAL teams, we really weren't doing that kind of shotgun work. And I'd done some before I came in with an 870, but I hadn't done one with an LAM1 Super 90.
Little gray-haired guy.
But yeah, exactly.
What was his name? I'm sorry.
No, I get it. It'll come to us after this.
Yeah.
But so I wanted to learn how to run that auto-loading shotgun. So I sought him out. Later, when I had the capability to be able to take my guys places to train that were military, well, I went to Thunder Ranch when they were in Texas because I couldn't afford to go before I was in the military, but I was reading about Thunder Ranch, about Clint Smith, and I always wanted to go. So as soon as I could set the training up like that, we're going to Thunder Ranch. So we went down there, had a fantastic
it's hard for SEALs to get in much trouble there at that Texas place.
Although we managed to do it on the way out of town. Did you ask me that on purpose?
No,
I Clint might have told you.
No. I just like Shaw's place down in Mississippi. It was way too close to the Purple Church in Memphis.
The Purple Church burned down eventually. Thank goodness.
I think some lives burned it down.
You may be right. You may be onto something. But yeah, we were out there, and you're in the middle of nowhere out there where Thunder Ranch was in Texas. But on the way out of town, on Riverwalk, then I think a couple guys, officers, I think it was, stole a police boat. Yeah. Anyway, it was, So we managed to get in trouble even out there.
Oh my
God. But so Thunder Ranch has been amazing, and we got to shoot there together, which was wonderful. When I was in Southern California training in the SEAL teams, I couldn't just a lot of times zip off because you're going to an island for desert warfare training. You're doing 2 weeks of jump training, 2 weeks of dive training. You're going to these different places to do this stuff, and you can't just pick up and not do that training and go to a course. So when people started really getting out of the military, kind of around 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then starting these tactical training companies, kind of like guys did when they got out of Vietnam in the late 70s, early 80s, and stopping off a gun site and starting their own type of thing. Then I go train Pat McNamara. He'd come through town. I train with him. Larry Vickers come through town, training with him. Drive up to LA to do that for the most part. So any chance I got to get on the range with somebody that I could learn from, I did that.
Yeah.
And then when I wanted to bring, also because in the SEAL teams, I thought we were getting into this kind of in this silo as far as our training went, meaning that we were just teaching ourselves over and over. Yeah, exactly. And it was great stuff. I mean, we were fast, we were smooth, we were on it. But I was like, hey, what are the Delta guys doing? Who are they reaching out to? So I asked Larry, I'm like, hey, will you come out and train some of the guys? And he's like, yeah, but I think there's this Pat McNamara guy that's kind of the most SEAL-like Delta guy that I can think of. So I had Pat come out a couple times and train the guys.
I've posted Pat. I really like him.
Yeah. He was fantastic, and the guys.
But he is totally snapped into a Slim Jim.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing I ever thought when I first met him. So we had a great time. So point being, I've trained with a lot of different people. I've been fortunate enough to want to do that early on and to have kept doing it throughout my time in the military, and then as much as possible continue to do it once on the outside, although not as much as I used to, because now my focus is writing. But anytime I can hop in the car and head to Thunder Ranch to get a little tune-up, I do it.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. My thing is writing now, but I want to keep the skills up. And luckily, they've plateaued at a level that I'm comfortable with, but I still want to get back on it and keep doing it.
Yeah, and we always have to protect our family and our neighborhood. So, that's great. It's great. Good stuff. See, what skills or gear did he find helpful overseas that he thinks are undervalued in the gun culture, training culture?
Ooh, undervalued. I don't know. That undervalued kind of throws me off there.
Let me give you an example of what they might be asking if I were going to answer it.
Yeah.
So when I was a cop and a citizen over here, before I went to Iraq, I didn't live with a gun. And so when I went to Iraq, we wore our gun all the time. You went to shit, you had your gun, your rifle. And so what I tell people when we do a rifle class, I say, leave it on all day. You can take it off at lunch. You can take it off if you got a crap, but wear it all day. I said, wear your stuff. Wear all your gear all day. You bought this stuff because you think you might need it. Wear it all day. And so I want them to kind of, because that's something that kind of smacked me in the face in Iraq, is like, well, I'm going to carry it all day. Being safe on the range for a limited amount of time is easy, but if I got to live with this thing, what am I going to do with it when I take a dump or when I do this or when I do that? And so that was one of the things I put more value on now than before I went over, was living with the gun.
Nice. I got it. I kind of did that even before I got in the military. I got my CCW before I came in. I was doing those classes, and those Vietnam guys, they were all about.
I meant long guns.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. So I would say, it's kind of the easy answer, but I think it still holds true, is that tourniquet, an actual tourniquet, not your belt.
Yeah.
But
if we go back and look at 2001, tourniquets weren't a thing.
No.
They didn't even exist really, certainly not like they do now.
We still had bandanas.
Yeah,
we had the thing, the dowel and the whole deal. That's what we carried as a tourniquet.
All the Vietnam era bandages that were rotten and everything. And I remember getting chastised when I came back from Iraq for selling tourniquets and chest decompression needles and stuff. And people were like, oh, you're going to get somebody killed. I'm like, and it's just too much liability. You're going to get somebody killed. And I said, listen, I teach people how to kill people.
You teach them liability.
Yeah. That's teach them how to save people. There's probably less liability in that.
That's crazy. And most people that are saying they're just repeating something they heard from someone else anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, so easy. It's the easy answer because it's for a reason. So yeah, it's that tourniquet.
Bill Jeans, Morgan Consulting.
There it is. Awesome.
Have you had any weird or odd or funny fan interactions?
Ooh. Yes. Yesterday.
Wow, recently.
Yeah. And man, it's great because it's so humbling. But someone got a tattoo of my symbol.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like a big one. And I was like, and they posted it. So I still don't quite know how to deal with that. And I wrote back something very nice, and I'm so humbled that the novels resonated, and it was very cool interaction. But someone got, and I've seen Joe Rogan. People get his face tattooed on their body with like a third eye, the whole craziness. And so I sent it to Joe. I was like, dude, I know you get this all the time. This is my first one. And he was like, oh, that's awesome, dude. But Yeah, so that's probably that one. That's you don't expect. I didn't expect that one.
People tell me all the time, you should get on Joe Rogan. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. I never asked him. He reached out to me, which was very cool.
So, one of my guys says, how was training? So we took this boat. Apparently it had sheriff written on the side.
Yep, that's I think how it was, except there was some alcohol involved as well.
In the team room in my house,
Yep.
we have a toilet holster. Like by all the toilets in my house, there's a holster.
Okay.
So you can take it.
Nice. That's a good idea.
And at my shop and everywhere. It started out just being kind of funny, but it's actually
that's extremely useful because I'm always mine's getting twisted, you know. Yeah.
And but we got to make sure that people take them with them. Sometimes they'll leave them behind.
That's the danger.
So a friend of mine, Dr. Sherman House, he's been my friend so long. I knew when he was just Sherman House. That's how long I've been friends with him before he was a doctor.
Nice.
But why do you hate mayonnaise?
Oh, it's because my mom slapped it on everything as a kid growing up. Not just a little bit, not just a little bit, but like a lot. Like when it's coming out the side of your sandwiches, and it's sogging, the bread is completely soaked through. And as a kid, it just scarred me for life.
So, all right, you're done with it.
Yep, no mayonnaise ever. Disgusting.
Done with it. So somebody talks about shower knives on here. So we do a force on force scenario where people are found in a compromising position, in their house. And so from that has been born the shower gun or the shower knife.
Love it.
So if you hear the term shower gun, that's from
that's
people.
Awesome. I want to put that in the book. That's fantastic. I think about that constantly. I don't know why I've never thought to do something about it.
And you see guys will get like the Pelican cases and screw it to the wall of their shower and keep their gun in the Pelican case. Yeah.
Oh, I'm taking this for sure.
Yeah.
My wife's not going to be pleased, but that's wonderful. So shower knives and shower guns.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love it.
Maybe we can get our boy to make like a stainless marine.
Exactly. Like what was that? Didn't Mossberg make like the 500 to 590 some sort of
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Man, that's awesome. I wonder if they still make that.
I don't know. Well, somebody will tell us in just a minute.
I need one for the shower.
And here's the thing. Like I have to be careful if I ever say I'm thinking about this because they'll start getting mailed to me.
So great.
No, I said something about a Magic 8 ball. I had 3 Magic 8 balls in the next few days.
So great. The little guy has one downstairs.
Yeah, so you got to be careful. What you say because people are like,
wonderful.
well, I'll send it to you. Joe Rogan says he trains at Trent. Had to go get him at Fighting Pistol with James Yeager. What do you mean? It doesn't work that way. Silent Sniper said, this is a great live stream to finish on my birthday. I'm sure everyone was gone before 800. I don't know what you're talking about, but happy birthday.
Happy birthday, buddy.
James goes to Texas and Rogan just moved there, so maybe soon.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and good for him to get in. I think he moved into the Austin area, which is the most California-like city in Austin.
Kind of like this, where we are now.
Well, it kind of eases him into the...
That's it.
Don't want too much freedom too soon,
You gotta ease in sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. See, these guys in blue, these are all like people I know that I've made them moderators. Nice. I've made them moderators, and moderator can't kick people off or whatever because we get a bunch of static on here. When it's live, like if anybody on YouTube sees us live, they'll just come in, oh, you guys want to see a picture of my junk or whatever, just like.
Oh, no way.
So I got all those blue guys who are my bouncers.
Nice, interesting.
Yeah.
All this is all new to me. This whole world.
Yeah, this is his first YouTube live stream. We're at 316 viewers right now.
Nice.
And usually in 24 hours, it's been watched 6,000 to 10,000 times.
That's awesome.
In 24 hours.
So cool.
And so I'm sure they're going to ask. So book 4 is going to be. So you can on pre-release on Amazon right now. What's the date? Do we know the date?
Yeah, it's April 13th.
April 13th,
2021.
April 13, 2021, they're going to want us to do some kind of giveaway again.
Absolutely.
And I had fun with the knife.
So cool. That was awesome. So cool.
I just boom, that's what I'm going to do.
That was awesome.
But
my little guy was trying to guess too. Yeah, he loved it.
So we'll try to. I'll probably do it with a bullet this time. We'll get like a 22 short or something.
Cool. That'd be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Teddy Roosevelt gave a speech once in I forget the exact date. Well, he had his speech there, He had a glasses case also that was kind of lined with metal. Everything wasn't plastic, obviously back then. But I think those were the only two things. There might have been something else there, but it slowed the bullet down enough so it just lodged against his rib rather than. And then he gave a 3-hour speech or something.
That's what I said.
Awesome.
I said Teddy Roosevelt got shot and finished a speech, and DMX can't even get through a fucking song without talking about it.
That's hilarious. Well, I saw Trump last night got moved off stage because there was somebody outside the White House, and I talked to my wife. I'm like, hey, if I was president, I would say, hey, do not remove me from stage unless that person is like actively in the building hunting me down.
Right.
Like outside, like no. Teddy Roosevelt gave a speech with a bullet lodged in him, like just minutes after he was shot, and I could stand up here with someone a block away. You know, times have changed.
Thomas Moreland is a good guy too. He is. I've been trying to just before the COVID stuff started happening. I was going to get with him. He's nearby. He's won a class or something. I can't remember, but he's a good guy. And I was going to get him together and do an AR armors class, just me and him. But the COVID thing happened. I can't get parts now to build a gun. Pierre says, how can we pre-order a signed copy? Well, Pierre, since they don't exist yet, you dumbass, you can't do that. Pierre's a friend of mine. He's a fucking Arab. He's Lebanese. And his mom named him Pierre like we wouldn't notice. He's like 6'4", looks like Brutus off Popeye, big beard. Like he looks like an Arab, you know.
Oh, you're gonna like book 4. I have a Lebanon kind of tie-in, to Beirut and southern Beirut, and one of the characters has a background growing up there. So
and so he lives in Tennessee now. He lives in Nashville, near Nashville, there's a Lebanon, Tennessee.
Yes.
And he's like, no, I'm from Lebanon. They go, Lebanon? No, Lebanon.
The other one.
Or his dad, actually. His dad.
Probably Utah. That's wild. Yeah, so the signed ones are crazy. People ask all the time about signed books, and it's so flattering and humbling. But yeah, I'm not set up to do it. And also, I want to make sure that the independent bookstores get that business.
Yeah, and like somebody just said, book signing, it's half the response. The best thing that he could do for the industry is a book signing like in Nashville near us, and then all of our people could gather at that. But like doing one at my shop, I mean, I get what you're saying, but Nashville would be the better because, to support those mom and pop bookstores,
Yeah, I was supposed to go and do one at a bookstore in Nashville and at the NRA this last year, but of course COVID happened, everything shut down, my book tour canceled, so I had to shift and figure out how to launch a book virtually in a time, and this was mid-April of 2020, so it was kind of like the height of the uncertainty as far as, hey, can we still get food at the grocery store, or health, or am I going to have a job, how am I going to pay for things? So it was a very interesting time to write or to launch a book and to launch it in an appropriate way. So I tried to help independent bookstores who were all shut down at the time as much as I could by trying to highlight that, hey, they can still send you a book just like Amazon can, and I had made these book plates that you could only get at certain independent bookstores that were signed to try to push that business their way and help out as best I could. So, but yeah, the signings have been crazy. Even for the first book, like people showed up for the majority of them.
So we were at SHOT Show or somewhere.
SHOT Show or NRA.
And you were doing a book signing, and and there's a line like
crazy
forever, and I saw him. He's like, "Oh, come over here!" And then I looked at this line of people, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And so I kind of cut in front of everybody, and I apologized to everybody. I said, "Sorry, guys, sorry."
Awesome. If I see somebody walking by, I know I always cry.
I just kind of felt like a heel.
No. That was wild. That same thing, like when Jim Shockey came up and found me, and he was like, man, I asked my guy, what is this line for? It's blocking our table. And the guy went, he came back and said, oh, it's this guy, this author, Jack CARR. He's like, what? Because Jim and I know each other. And he stood up and came over and walked to the front, and we got a picture together, and it was really cool.
Good stuff. James, I deeply regret not approaching you a few years ago at the Louisville NRA show. I can tell you noticed my father hawking you by the Black Rifle Coffee guys. We get that a lot, that eye contact stuff, and I see a lot of people, and I'll say, hey, dude, you guys waiting for me, or, whatever, try to be nice about it. And sometimes they're like, no, and they walk away or whatever, so, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but it's
Sign the books in Nashville, then have them stabbed back at the shop. I think somebody wants a personally stabbed book
Okay.
by you.
There might be a market for that. Well, that's the last book for True Believer in Denver at the Tattered Cover bookstore. A local radio guy had said, "Hey, bring your AR mags to sign." So I signed all these AR mags, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'd had that happen at a book signing before.
It's fantastic. My friend Pierre says if I wanted to reach out to him and maybe interview him, he does a podcast and stuff.
Oh, nice.
What's the best way? You can't, and don't even try it. So if we can work that out, we will sometime. Have you ever read Unintended Consequences by John Ross?
I have not.
One of my favorite books ever.
No,
Okay.
You told me that before.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. It's surprising that I don't have it.
Hold on a second. I'll get him a copy. I have some at the house. I'll give him a copy.
You've done this before. You know you're
yeah.
4,000 on that job. That's great. Yeah, people have sent some amazing things. I've met some really interesting people just being out there, and I try to engage as much as I can just because I'm so thankful that people are interested in the books and they're resonating.
But the thing is, you are surprised by it, and yet you have been a fan of this stuff your whole life, and it's affected you deeply.
Yeah.
And you're surprised that other people are affected by you just as deeply?
Yeah, I guess I never thought of it in those terms before.
So check it out. You're one of those guys.
It's crazy. Well, I'm working towards it.
Okay. You can be humble, and you could have said that after your first book, or your second, or your third.
Appreciate it.
But if you're saying it after your fourth book, that makes you kind of a dick.
Okay. All right. Well, so I don't want to get too comfortable. You know? Like I'm down there writing this fourth one. I'm writing this chapter today, and I'm figuring out a new way to kill somebody. And I'm talking to doctors about it to make sure that it's right. And then I'm like, well, should I leave one of these ingredients out? There's someone actually doing this. But I think I left it vague enough. But I didn't want to get too comfortable because I always want to keep moving forward. But one of those engagements that I had was someone, a guy reached out from England, and he said, "Hey, we're going through some things. We found this knife, and I want you to have it." And I was like, "Oh," he sent me a picture of it, and it's legit World War II commando dagger.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's right over there. I'll show you.
I actually spotted it as soon as I walked in the door. And I said, "I'm not going to touch that, but I want to."
Yeah, we'll take a look at it here in a minute. But crazy! It has I need to do some research because there's a stamp on the leather that has the company, so I need to do some more research into that. But he said, "I want you to have it." And I tried to talk him out of it, and he would hear nothing of it. Like he wanted me to have this. And I said, "Well, I'll hold on to it until if one of your kids ever wants it or grandkids ever wants it, I will have it. You'll have a place of honor in the office, and I will send it back as soon as anybody in your family wants this back."
Fantastic. The first floor of my house is the team room. We let students stay down there, and it's become a clearinghouse for stuff. These things. Oh, the wife said I couldn't have this in the house, but also for instance, there's one thing that hangs down there, and whenever I greet somebody, bring them in, I always show it to them. But it's a plaque from a Marine that was in 29 years. And a buddy of mine he's a knife guy, and he goes around when they cut open sheds and those lockers and stuff and sell their stuff. And he found one was a Marine and had that thing in it. And he bid on it and tracked the family down. And I thought the Marine was down on his luck. And they said, "He's dead. We don't want any of his stuff. Don't call us again." And so this guy's got this thing now, and he's like, it's a K-bar and a presentation K-bar and all that. And he brings it to me, he said, "I can't keep this. And I don't know what to do with it. Do you want to put this in the team room?" I said, "Absolutely." So I hang it up there, and when I bring people in, I always show them, I go, "This is for all the forgotten soldiers and Marines and airmen and seamen." I said, "Somebody didn't care about that guy, and it's up here so you can care about him right now."
Wow.
And so
that's powerful.
Very
cool.
So I get it. I get it. I get it.
That's great. It's crazy. It's right there by that typewriter we can talk about later. That thing's crazy too. But one thing that I'm looking...
Dude, we've been on here 59 minutes and 22 seconds.
The only thing I am looking for is a...
finish up.
Oh, I would say that I had the opportunity for about a month in Iraq in 2004 to work with MARSOC Det 1. and so they had that Kimber back then,
Yeah.
that bolt-on rail, you know, before
Mhm.
everything had rails on
Yeah.
it. So every now and again, I don't know why anyone would ever get rid of one, but I guess, you know, life
So
happens.
if any of you guys know where to get one, or if you found one at a gun broker, you guys know my email address. Send me a link. I'll forward it on to Jack. But he's looking for one of the OG Marsoc guns with the bolted on rail.
Yeah, you know that one, right?
Mhm.
That they did.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it's I think it's the most limited production like 1911 type runs for the military
Mhm.
ever done. I think. Then Strider Knives did a knife that went with it. So it's like finding one of those.
If you got the pair,
crazy.
if you want to trade for training, you can name your price on that, and we'll just get it to him as a gift.
Man.
Oh, it's easy. Like sometimes guys go, "I will trade that for training."
No way.
Oh, I get people who want to trade me their kids and everything else.
Well, that I understand. No, just kidding.
I'd rather have a goat, because the goat I can have eat weeds.
Exactly.
Kids.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what do we need to? So you can look for his YouTube channel coming up. But give you a release date, but soon there will be one. And he has interviewed me, and so interview questions that have never been asked to me before. If you want to kind of know a little bit, some different stuff, he came from a different angle with it. And book 4 is coming out April 13. You could pre-order that on Amazon, jackcarr.com, at jackcarr Instagram, and
Jack CARR USA.
yeah, jackcarr USA.
Otherwise, it goes to some Midwest insurance
I
company.
think I just tagged the wrong people on
It
something.
might have been. Yeah, it might have been a Midwest insurance company.
Well, they probably appreciate the
Yeah.
bump.
Yeah, it's officialjackcarr.com and it's Jack CARR USA. Yeah, I'm looking forward to launching this podcast, especially that conversation we just had. I'm very excited to get that out there. Thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. So right now what's going to happen is we're going to go out there. He's going to cook some steaks. Lewis is out there. Jared Markle from Stewing the Guns out there. And we're going to go and relax. And we do appreciate everybody watching. This is James and Jack CARR reminding you that your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends. Take care, guys. And let me just turn you off. Y'all get out of here. Go away. Get out of here. Go home now.